No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to the Perfect Parlay Pursuit. We are coming off of a weird UFC weekend, UFC Long Island. Something was in the water out there. We're going to recap the whole thing. Alex, Dan, how you doing?
Not too bad. I mean, the picks went pretty well, 9 out of 12. So a lot of other handicappers do a lot worse. Fortunately, the money wasn't there. The combinations were not there for your boy and his parlays. Hopefully, you took some of my better picks. You took Lucky Lauren Murphy. You took the other dogs, Dustin Stolfus, the Leech, Ricky Simone, who was Triple P certified. Hopefully, you took a cabal of those underdogs and made some money yourselves. Your boy is going to get back on the horse this coming weekend with UFC London. Alex, any profits on our end?
Dan, don't even ask. I did not have profits, although I did get every single fight correct. I could not manage to make a parlay with all of the fights correct. I have never gotten a fight incorrect in my entire life. I will never get a fight incorrect. This week, it's going to be a perfect parlay. I'm going to put in the correct parlay. Every single time I just mess up, a little smudge on the screen. I picked the wrong person by mistake. But guys, this week is my week. I guarantee it. Ankalaev is really the biggest, or not Ankalaev. Who was it?
Oh my God.
The master of Kung Fu. He was the biggest. Muslim Salikov. He was the biggest letdown for me, personally.
Well, I'll tell you what. The biggest letdown of the card was me. I went 4 out of 12. I had my absolute worst night of predictions as far as the predictions I gave on this podcast. Now, if you want to get technical, I took Unjun when we did the first podcast as an underdog. And then as the fight got closer, I was kind of swayed towards Jacoby. These two guys kind of swayed me. So I didn't announce it on the podcast, but all my bets, except the original one, I always do an original parlay with the picks I made on the podcast. All my bets that you saw on the Patreon contained Dustin Jacoby at underdog odds, by the way. So I was one of the few people who managed to get Unjun as an underdog early. Then when the fight got closer, switched to Jacoby as an underdog and missed my parlays. I also publicly took Grant on the podcast. If you watched my Patreon picks, every pick I gave away on the Patreon that was my actual bets by the time Friday got here was on Stolfitz. After seeing the weigh-ins, I really was swayed towards Stolfitz. So those are two, right there that would have brought me to 50%, 6 out of 12, if I kind of formally switched like Dan did with Bill Algeo, which, by the way, we went 100% on Triple B certified picks. We gave 2 away on this podcast, and they both were correct. Dan on Wednesday hits me and Alex up in our private group chat and says, I'm formally switching to Herbert Burns. So I didn't know how to really do this. Either way, we're either 1 out of 1 or we're 2 out of 2 because it was such an unpredictable weekend that we had 2 out of 12 Triple B certified fights, which means the picks that obviously we all sync up on, we all agree on. Usually we have, between 4 and maybe 7, sometimes as high as 9 out of 11, 9 out of 12 I've seen. But this night, we only had 2, Ricky Simone and Bill Algeo. And like I said, Dan switched to Herbert Burns. So really, we only had Ricky Simone. And I'll be honest with you, I was not that confident in Ricky Simone until I kind of saw, some of the man's men like Dustin Jacoby get that win. Some of the wrestling on display that kind of seemed to be the story of the night with Burgos and Jourdain. It kind of, in hindsight, seemed like maybe wrestling was the story of this card in a lot of ways. But Alex, to your point about Salikov, you call yourself the king of Kung Fu against a Chinese guy who Kung Fu was invented in China. The gods are going to frown upon that. And Lee won for China power over Russia. They got him. Don't be a Russian guy calling yourself the king of Kung Fu going out there fighting a Chinese guy. That's cultural appropriation, to say the least, if not straight up blasphemy. I mean, he said, "Oh, you're the king of Kung Fu." All of that ancestral mana behind him, right, guiding him. So that was beautiful. My best friend is Asian Chinese. In fact, he was there. He saw that fight. He rarely watches UFC unless he's with me, and he watches that fight. And I'm sorry, did I say my best friend? Did that offend you too? I'm sorry. You guys are my best friends too. I have a lot of best friends. You know how it is.
No, I was just more so saying that's just the classic thing, leading up to a racist joke. He was very
proud. He said, as a Chinese guy, I'm very proud of Lee. He was rooting for Lee. This is nationalism. He He was very proud. So I don't want to hear this.
And you know who disappointed him more than anybody? Sumajeri.
Exactly. Coming off that. But hey, you know, and that's why I went 4 out of 12, I think, was because I took 8 underdogs out of 12 picks, right? But the underdogs I did take shots on, I mean, Lee, underdog. Schnell, underdog. Unjun and Jacoby, underdogs. Simone, underdog. Panay, underdog. Panay was a close fight, you know. Dolce Lungambula, underdog. Jourdain, underdog. I thought Jourdain won the fight. Dolce looked great in the first round until he got fucking finished. So, and Dolce was the one that in my head I was like, probably going to fucking lose. But he won the battle of the scale. Friday, I had no reason to switch my pick on Friday. I'll tell you that much. He looked way better than Poon on the scale. That being said, the standout performance of the night was Matt Schnell. That was an absolute bludgeoning he took. Almost finished so many times over. And then to go get the finish, put him straight to sleep. Sumaderji, all respect to the Tibetan Eagle, not tapping, going out on his shield. It was amazing. I mean, I saw the sea of people who are like first-time fans watching this on ABC or watching this on ESPN going like, oh my God, this is so gory. This is so brutal. Oh my God. Dude, I saw a bunch of it on Instagram circulating. It's hilarious when I reflect back on my reaction to that, where I'm literally amidst a sea of first-time viewers because it was my brother's graduation party that day. So I have all my extended family over. And they're all actually, for this fight, they kind of migrate into the living room because they hear us all going, oh! So now, you know, they see this guy almost get finished and then finish this guy, choke him straight to sleep. And me, I'm like so numb to all this after watching. I mean, I've watched every fight card ever, but also like intensively every fight over the last 3 years since doing this podcast, not missing a single fight. Thousands of fights a year. It feels like probably less than 1,000. I think we 500 a year. Either way, thousands over the course of doing this podcast. And I'm yelling, put him in the coffin. Put him in the coffin. He's out. He's out. Put him in the coffin. And everyone's just like, is Luke all right? And I just was really happy. I picked Matt Schnell as an underdog. And if you're following me on Patreon, you knew by that point my parlays were blown up. We were in the red. I needed to build a parlay that was going to take me there. I built it with Schnell, Lee, and Lemos. I faded myself with Waterson. I said, look, you picked 8 underdogs, dude. You were wrong on Jourdain. You were wrong on Dolce. You're going to be wrong on Waterson. She's not the mom champ. We're gonna fade ourselves here, and we're going to go with Lemos. But I posted it publicly in the Patreon, and that set us up, Schnell, Lee, Lemos, and Ortega. That set us up with, let's see here, UFC Long Island. This is all still public in the Patreon. We had a $40 bet to pay $987 because it was Schnell, Lee, Lemos, and Ortega by finish, okay? Now, you're saying, well, Luke, you got to get Ortega by finish. All you had to do, 40 to win 987. I was able to place a $210 bet on Gaillard to win 525 to hedge against the losses from earlier. And then I also did a little sprinkle on the over 4.5 in case Yair won by or Ortega won by finish or by decision, right? That way it covered me against Yair by finish, Yair, Ortega by finish, and Ortega by decision. So we ended up hitting
serious math. I gotta say, I mean, you're crunching the numbers.
And I was pretty drunk while I was doing this math by this point, and I'd been drinking since 11 a.m. And when I did this math, right, I ended up still kind of coming out losing a little bit of money, like at the end of the day. But when we're talking, I'm pushing hundreds and hundreds of dollars into the arena throughout the course of the fights and losing. And it's my last act, and I got a situation where I'm either going to win 987, which at that point would have been $687 because I was only out about 300 at that point.
Okay.
So then I had to bet 210 on Yair to hedge. So now I'm out 520, but I'm in a situation where if Ortega wins by decision, I lose everything. But if Ortega wins by finish, I win about 600. If Yair wins, I win about $5. Right? If Yair won, I won $5, but then I lost on the over. So I lost like $90 on the over on like a little play. But I was, like I said, I was pretty drunk. I was trying to add up what I had already lost. It was chaotic. There was family coming into the room asking me, hey, Luke, what's going on? You know, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to create a no-lose situation for myself here. Stand by. And I'm like, you know, crunching numbers. People are interrupting me. It was hard. But that being said,
it's rare you get a knockout victory for a submission. But I don't know what, like, if you would have told me Yair Rodriguez breaks Brian Ortega's arm mid-fight with a submission, I would say you are insane. I would say you are an insane person. Get checked into the nearest institute around you. They need to do some studies on your brain. I did, like, how can you even call this? You know, this is the hardest sport to ever guess an outcome for. So stop trying. Stop trying to go over under on rounds. Just pick who's going to win.
You seem like you've really lost hope there, Alex. I mean, this is what we do. We pick what's going to happen.
No, not exactly. I'm saying, like, don't do exacto outcomes.
Right,
That's where Luke is always losing all of his money. It's always exacto outcomes.
But, Alex, the weekend previous, I sat out by the pool, and if you were following me on Instagram, I posted a video where I said, I made my parlays thinking this is what's going to happen. This is what should happen. It's what makes sense to happen. But what I didn't account for was, what if something weird happens? So as the fight went on, I made sure I hedged against, weird outcomes that could have occurred. So you always got to think, this is the sport where every weekend we come away the next Monday going, can you believe X, Y, and Z? And every week we go, well, what should happen is, Lauren Murphy is old as hell, so she's going to lose. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, no, of course, the thing that, Miesha Tate was a big, heavy favorite there, It's like, no, of course she lost. Of course she did.
Well, I could have told you that. You
did tell us that.
In regards to, not predicting the injury or whatever, and I'm not saying it would be predictable, but evidently Brian Ortega has had 2 surgeries on that exact same shoulder, and now he's had this happen. Man, this is like what's crazy about MMA to me, is where that, like, not too long ago, Brian Ortega was the shiny new toy of the UFC, and now coming off this injury and the loss and just knowing the background of him losing 2 title fights very definitively, it's like, oh, dude, it's going to be a long road back for you to relevance in the featherweight division, at least. It's crazy how quick the sport just turns around like that.
So all in all, if you're in the Patreon, you got a second week of value because obviously last week, UFC Vegas 58, we were able to come away with a lot of money. I won over $1,000. If you were in the Patreon, you had that same opportunity if you were tailing me. This week, we went 2-2 Triple B certified. So that's actually the 3rd event this calendar year, which is only comprised of 9 events, where we hit 100% of Triple B certified picks. Meaning, if you tailed Triple B certified picks this year, one event you would have hit a $10 bet to pay $94 on a 4-4 Triple B certified parlay. One event you would have hit a $10 bet for give or take 40, depending on when you got the odds. Another 4-4 Triple B certified parlay, and this one, our 3rd one, a 2 out of 2. That's the one we gave on the podcast. Like I said, Dan switched, but not publicly unless you were telling his picks exactly in the Patreon. If you just went by what he said on the podcast, then yeah, you hit another 2 out of 2, if not a 1 out of 1 on the underdog Ricky Simone. But either way, give or take $170 over 9 events. A blind $10 bet on the Triple B certified picks over the course of the 9 events would have netted you, $90 out in risk, and you would have pulled in at this point, give or take 170, about double, almost $180. So we've doubled your money over 9 events in year 3 since May 9th, when year 3 began. As you guys know, we started this podcast when Tony Ferguson fought Justin Gaethje, when Dana White brought sports back during the lockdown, and that's our calendar year. It goes May to May. We just started year 3 of this podcast, and we are already up 80% Triple B certified picks, 40 out of 50 this year over 9 events. Dan is actually tied with me. Me and him are both at 66% accuracy over the course of year 3. Alex leading the way, 72 out of 106 correct picks, 68% accurate, not 100. So we will edit that. But because that is, Alex, we're charging money now for these things. Like, you can't lie. Like, people will sue you, dude. Like, they'll straight up sue you. But that being said, you guys know.
That part was for entertainment purposes only.
If you ever try to sue me, that will be a war you do not fucking want, okay? It will be a war you do not want. I will fucking do – you cannot bleed a rock. You cannot bleed a rock, okay? So.
And Luke has nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Alex learning from the school of Chael Sonnen of how to give out how his life has been occurring as of late.
You'd be better off trying to squeeze money out of this hockey puck, this Rod Brindamore commemorative hockey puck, than you would be to try to squeeze money out of me in this podcast. I can't even get money out of my own podcast. You think you're going to get money out of my podcast? I can't even get fucking money out of my podcast. I tried to take the money out of the Patreon. It goes, you need to fill out your W-9. I go, W-9? I heard a W-2. I heard a 1040. I heard a 501c3. I never heard of fucking W-9, so now I'm out here trying to LLC the podcast. Why do you think I'm drinking, guys? It's a Monday. Why am I drinking? I'm stressed out. I went 4-12 last week. but we have a big guest coming on the podcast. And I don't just mean big in terms of size. He's a heavyweight UFC fighter in the making, about to make his debut. This man is coming straight out of lots of places. I mean, whether you're an island boy like me and you're from the island of Manhattan, this man is coming out of New York. This man is coming out of New Jersey. This man is coming out of Egypt. Dan, why don't you tell everybody who you got to come on this podcast?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fans of the Triple P, please put your hands together for Hamdi Abdel Wahab, the Hammer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Great
not here
man.
yet. He's not here yet.
Oh, dude, I thought you queued him up and he was ready to go.
No, he's not here yet.
Oh, dude, I did my Bruce Buffer for the geez.
Yeah, you might want to check. You sent him the link, right? Go check.
I sent him the link.
Go. Well, why don't you check up on that?
I'm looking at it right now, Lukey. I'm looking at it right
Luke,
now.
Before the guest joins, I just want to say that
break down the Herbert Burns fight first. We didn't even talk about this.
We didn't. Okay, so before he gets on the podcast, let me just say this: Herbert Burns should have to not only go into exile, but he should probably. Honestly, I'm just gonna say this: Herbert Burns. Oh my God, dude! I want to say dark things. I want to say dark things about Herbert.
Dude,
Burns.
he tore his MCL.
I don't care at all about that. I don't care at all about that.
Conor McGregor tore his ACL and took down Max
Dan.
wrestled him for 3 rounds. Max Holloway, that is.
Dan, I don't care at all about that. I don't care. Let me just say this publicly. I don't care at all about that. I was going to say Herbert Burns should have to change his last name, but after seeing him cry in the middle of the octagon, it was actually very reminiscent of a Burns performance to be in a great position, set up for success, and completely squander it and then cry. That seems very reminiscent of some of the other Burns performances we've seen. That being said, I have a lot of respect for Gilbert Burns after the Hamzat Chimaev fight. You know what I mean? After the Wonderboy Thompson fight. I don't think Gilbert Burns is a quitter, but that Herbert Burns fight, you want to talk about Tommy Fury having to change his last name, Herbert Burns should have to change his last name. Herbert Burns shouldn't be allowed to be in the breeding pool after that shit. That was fucking pathetic. That was the most cowardice shit I've ever seen in my life. Not only the fact that, like, the doctor gives him the way out, he doesn't want to take it then. Before, that was after the guy told him to stand up. He didn't want to stand up, and is, like, slowly getting up. I hate that shit in, like, high school sports. Like, I could be in high school gym class, and a guy could be, like, trying to catch his breath and stall, and I'm annoyed. And that's, like, the highest level competition. You're out here milking it. You're out here trying to cheat Bill Algeo out of the victory. That was, like, Brian Ortega against, what's his name? And it just goes to show, you know what I mean? When you phone it in. And here's the other thing. Here's the last
Brian
thing.
Ortega versus who?
Yeah.
Volkanovski, where he was, like, slow to get up, and they were like, yo, stop the fight. He's not getting up. There's corners carrying him to the freaking bench. Like, what? You know, my point is this. Okay, I'm a little flustered right now because I'm so irate about this. And I picked Bill Algeo, and I should be certified Bill Algeo with you on this podcast. But it drove me crazy to see the ref not stop the fight when he should have stopped it the first time he wouldn't get up. That killed me. Then to have, the doctor come in, and he doesn't want to keep fighting clearly, and they make him go out there and fight. But then he literally just won't get up and fight, and then he starts crying, and Gilbert carries him away like he's freaking the Princess Bride. It was crazy, dude. Like,
Reminiscent of this man. He won't stand up and fight, misses one shot, or doesn't even take a shot, and then he doesn't play ever again. Still hasn't played.
This is the UFC podcast.
He stinks.
It was horrible. It was horrible, and oh my god, dude. That was just. He should be cut. You want to talk about that guy? What's that North Carolina boy? The North Carolina wrestler boy who quit on his stool.
Max
Roskop. You want to talk about Roskop getting cut? You better cut Gilbert Burns from the UFC. You better
Herbert Burns.
Cut them both.
You just got done giving him respect for his life.
Gilbert got him in under his word. That's your boy. Like, you vouched for him. That's on you. That's on you. Because Dana White wasn't out there like, oh, you know who we need to sign? Herbert Burns. No, it was like Gilbert came to him and was like, we need to sign my brother. Come on, I'm a good fighter for you. You trust me, right? Let me co-sign him. He co-signed, and it failed. The experiment failed. That's what I was going to say. First round, he goes out there and proves, I have the skill to be here. I am a skilled fighter. I can be here. Because he gets him in all kinds of trouble. But then, the second it doesn't start going his way, he proves he's an exhibitionist. He proves the first round is won by the guy with the most skill, right? Second round is won by the guy with the most cardio. Third round is won by the guy with the most heart. We didn't even get to the third round. He proved he didn't even have any heart entering the second round. That was no heart. I don't care. You're talking about an MCL? What would Greg Jackson say? He'd say, hit him with it. Yo, you tore your ACL? Go out there and hit him with it. That's what he would say. Like, this is unbelievable, dude. It's an MCL. No one ever died of a torn MCL. You might as well tell me you got a scratched cornea. You might as well tell me you had one eye.
I wrestled a whole wrestling season with a torn MCL.
I don't know. First of all, I don't know if it was an MCL. I just threw that out there. It was something like that. I don't know. I don't know for sure. He could have had a way more catastrophic injury that you guys were like,
he's great at jiu-jitsu. He's great at jiu-jitsu. He is not a fighter. This is the Ultimate Fighting Championship. That's the only reason I'm leveling this level of scrutiny at him. It's the only reason. And because you're coming in here, Super. And because you're coming in here off nepotism. And same with Chase Super. You're coming in here off a gimmick. You know what I mean? There's plenty of guys who are just as good as you who don't get the opportunity because they're not 20 years old. Plenty of guys who are just as good as you, Herbert Burns, who don't get the opportunity because their last name's not Burns. That's why I'm leveling this amount of scrutiny. Because there's people who want to do it and would love to be there. And he's sitting there crying.
You're looking for a more democratic UFC. You're looking for equal opportunity, not people just riding off the coattails of their brother's name.
I think it is pretty equal opportunity, but I'm just saying that there's only a certain amount of fights in a night, and you got a guy coming in who's got the same last name as a former title challenger, the same last name as a guy who's got great management and great affiliations. There's a certain amount of nepotism that comes with that. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's my opinion. And at the end of the day, there's a guys barking at the opportunity to get in there and fight Bilal J.O. And for you to go out there, what if Herbert Burns had won? What if that triangle worked? Wouldn't that be a travesty? Then he gets another fight. Then he's out there fooling everybody into thinking that, like, that's who is good in the UFC. Thank God for Bilal J.O. Thank God we had a guy from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Thank God we had a guy from the East Coast Mid-Atlantic region who was the only person Joe Selecki shouted out and said, that's somebody I kind of recognize from the regional CFFC or whatever scene. Like, speaking of Joe Selecki, everybody, make sure you tune in because All In Grappling, they're putting on a huge event. We sponsored it. Perfect Parlay Pursuit Podcast sponsored it. You sponsored it if you're in the Patreon. We're putting this money to work. We're paying it forward. Joe Selecki's been more than generous with his time coming on this show. The first UFC fighter we ever had on the show. The only UFC fighter we ever had on the show until hopefully today, but our guest is running late. That's fine. That's completely fine. You know what I mean?
You're an embarrassment.
You're a disgrace.
I should be in the damn gutter right now. I had to claw myself out of bed just to even summon the dopamine to show my face here today.
Yeah, the problem is I went 8 out of 12 and I still didn't win any money. So I don't even care. I don't even care about how my picks went.
Started the night off with a loss, Penne. That's a woman fight. You don't bet on ladies. Shouldn't have even had her.
Except for the perfect parlay.
Right. Okay.
I always put perfect.
Shouldn't even have your bets. Then you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row with 3 of them being underdogs.
I know. I thought I got all the dogs.
There was your 5-fight parlay. Then you lose on tape.
They didn't give me any cash out options at all.
I'm telling your story. You don't need to tell your story. I'm telling your story. I have it right here. I have it all right here. Then you lose on tape. Another lady fight. Shouldn't have been betting on it. So then you win on burgers. You should have been 6-0. Done here. Won our money. You lose on
the problem was I had Sue Majeri in a lot of my parlays, and I had Muslim Salikov in a lot of my parlays.
2 favorites. You could have cashed out if you had a.
They wouldn't let me. I was trying.
You can always. This is what I tried to tell Gerald. You can always create a hedge or a cash out yourself. DraftKings makes it convenient for you because they.
Not when it's the favorite, right? Wasn't Lucky Lauren the favorite?
Specifically when it is the favorite.
No. Oh, okay.
She was a big dog.
Yeah. So you could have just hedged out on Lauren to break even, plus all your other picks. Hedged out on every other dog played. Come to me next time.
I was getting pulled a bunch of different directions. I was organizing a whole cornhole tournament, multi-tier bracket. I was moving my stuff out of the house, all while 60 of my friends and family are here to see not only baby Ryan, but me as well. They're like, hey, how are you doing? What's up with you? I hear you're a mountain man. I hear you're up there in the woods. And I say, yeah, forget about me. Talk to baby Ryan. I got stuff to do here. Do you want to play cornhole or not?
It was a fun day either way. It was great to be able to watch the fights early, get them over with, get out there, have a barbecue. I'm just so thankful for this podcast. We're almost at 1,000 people who are subscribed. There's a book, there's a concept, 1,000 true fans. And if you can get 1,000 true fans, you can live as an artist. And that's, we're artists. Like, we're not handicappers. A lot of people, like, they want us to kind of conform to the culture. We are the culture. Okay. Us three are the culture. Everybody else they're in a different lane. They're in a different category.
Luke's more of an artist from Boston.
I've never been to Boston. You're the one who's been to Boston. I've never been to Boston.
What does that even mean?
Yeah,
I don't want to say. I'm
a New York guy. I'm a Hawaii guy. You know what I mean? A Jersey guy. Now I live in Maryland. But that being said, guys, I don't know if the guest is going to make it. The guest said he had a 30-minute window. It's been 15 of those 30. We are now at the 50% mark. If we do get him in, we're going to pivot and interview him and just kind of get him to tell us his story. And we won't talk fights at this point. But for now, I think it's about time we just start breaking down next week's card, because when I say that this is a fucking money-making card, as much as last week was a mystery card, this week is a laser eyes, full focus, plenty of opportunity fight card. I couldn't be happier with this offering. I couldn't be happier with the odds. I'm fine with it all. I have so many inside locks. I have so many perfect opinions. And guys, listen, we booked guests. We booked Terrence McKinney. We had a scheduling conflict. You know what I mean? We booked plenty of guests with scheduling conflicts. They said bet. We said bet. They ended up not showing up. So no worries. Like, we're talking about a guy who trains in Jersey, lives in New York. He's probably hitting some traffic. Things are going to go awry. We'll get him on the podcast. Or we won't.
We'll get him on. He was also just booked for a fight, like just booked for his first UFC fight, coming up quick. We'll tease it for later in case he gets on, but he's got a lot going on right now, so we'll give him a pass and we'll try to get him on.
Joe Piper was going to come on the podcast. We promised him. He fizzled out, but again, he has a Contender Series fight coming up very soon. So, these guys, it's mixed martial arts. They're artists, guys. Got to remember, artists are sensitive. And, like, I'm an artist too. Like,
artists are very sensitive. We felt the backlash of.
You have 2 bracelets on. You're an artist, and I have 2 bracelets on right now, so I'm an artist. So yeah, when you're an artist like me, like Johnny Depp, like you get a little sensitive. I had to get drunk just to do the podcast. Going 4 to 12, I was like, how am I even gonna do this? So, but we got such a good card. UFC London, let's go, baby. I heard that Jordan Leavitt wants to twerk on Paddy the Baddy, but when he knocks him out. But I heard another thing too.
I'm a scouser. We don't get knocked out. Hey, I take that all day.
He takes those twerks all day, baby. So yeah, a lot to talk about, and I could not be more excited. I'm gonna get another beer. I'm gonna hop off. You guys can lament about last week's card, and then.
All right, I don't want to lament too much about last week's card. I'm good on last week's card. We pretty much covered it top to bottom. Nothing too much more to note there. We covered all the big names. Well, you want to get into UFC London, Alex? Start this thing off.
Dan, I'd love to, and it all starts off with an American versus a Liverpudlian. So we got to really take this into consideration here. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. I mean, are we running back the Revolutionary War? What do you think about this, Dan? Where are you hitting it from? Is your nationality getting in the way of your fight IQ?
No, it's absolutely not. I didn't even think of it until you just brought it up right now. So I'm only thinking with my UFC mixed martial arts mind at this point in time. I've been leaning towards Aspinall. He's the favorite in this matchup. So, of course, if I get to that point with my parlay, I'll probably cash out just because Curtis Blaydes is a threat, both on the feet and on the ground, I feel. But I think that the jiu-jitsu is going to come into play here. There are going to be some chaotic situations where our boy from Liverpool is going to use that jiu-jitsu, get into an advantageous position, if not an outright submission. And, of course, we can't talk about the Brit here without talking about the jab. We can't talk about him without the cross, without that check right hook. Beautiful. I mean, his striking is it's probably better than anyone that Curtis Blaydes has fought. So I'm going to ride with the favorite here on this matchup. Definitely a cash out scenario, especially with the kind of wood that I'm going to be laying on UFC London, Parlay City. Let's go. Alex, I'll toss it over to you. What do you think about in this main event matchup?
Well, I'll tell you what, I just paid my next 3 months rent in full, so I'm laying some serious wood on this card, Dan, as well. I'm going with Tom Aspinall. I'm not letting my nationalism get in the way of this because guess what? Curtis Blaydes doesn't have a Lafayette in his corner. He doesn't have, what's his name, Cyril Gahn to help him out with this one because Tom Aspinall is not only dangerous on the ground, but he's got some good wrestling. We've seen it in his past fights, and his striking is far better than Curtis Blaydes. So I'm rolling with Tom here. Luke, what do you think?
Stupid. You boys are so stupid. Curtis Blaydes is going to fucking win this fight, boys. Curtis Blaydes knocked out Chris Dawkins. Curtis Blaydes dominated Alexander Volkov in wrestling. Do you think that Tom Aspinall is going to submit Curtis Blaydes?
No, I think he's going to knock him out.
Probably not. He's going to knock him out.
I think he's going to knock him out.
Okay. So you should then you should take Tom Aspinall by knockout.
No, I was just telling you. I was just scolding you. You should not do that. Don't do these exacto parlays. They always lead to disappointment.
Listen, man, Curtis Blaydes, he learns and he learns good, and he's already been knocked out by Francis Ngannou twice and Derek Lewis once. And the Derek Lewis one.
How well does he learn if he gets knocked out by the same person twice?
Listen, one of those two was kind of an early stoppage. That being said, Derek Lewis knocking him out was kind of like a George Masvidal situation. You know what I mean? It was like he zigged when he should have zagged, and he's not going to let that happen again. And Tom Aspinall ain't the type to make that happen. Tom Aspinall is the type to, man, I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more dissatisfied with someone's attitude than Tom Aspinall's. Tom Aspinall has a piss poor attitude. He's always downplaying himself. He's always acting like he shouldn't, be in big situations. Well, guess what? Now, because you didn't want to fight a Derek Lewis type, a Tai Tuivasa type,
a real thick type. A real thick type.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a guy that you are faster than and have way better grappling than. You know what I'm saying? Now you got yourself in there with a Curtis Blaydes type, a type that's going to essentially be able to sprawl anytime you want to take him down, and a type that has gotten so good with his hands. He trains with Mark Henry, right?
No.
He's in Colorado.
Colorado. Elevation, right. Why did I think Curtis Blaydes was with Mark Henry?
If he was with Mark Henry, I probably would take him. But Luke,
he kind of looks like the WWE.
Curtis Blaydes,
Justin Gaethje, the whole thing. Yeah, my point is, Curtis Blaydes is like getting really good with his hands and like comfortable with his hands, and that's a dangerous Curtis Blaydes because he can take Tom Aspinall down any fucking time he wants in that octagon. He's gonna take Tom down. Tom's gonna like be pushed against the cage for many minutes, first, second, third round. By the way, do you guys know that Tom Aspinall's like never been to a decision? Like, sorry, I'm getting shushed. I think the baby's being put to bed.
Luke, where Curtis Blaydes is a thick type, Tom Aspinall is a pog type, a fat ass white girl. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna destroy him. Luke, this is not a good pick for you. I'm just telling you. Don't do it.
We'll see Curtis Blaydes. And by the way, I took Derek Lewis against Curtis Blaydes plus 400. Thank you very fucking much. And now I'm taking Curtis as an underdog.
All right, and next up we got Jack Hermansson with a late minute replacement in Chris Curtis. That one made me stutter.
I'll take it first.
You want to take this one?
I'll take it first.
Are you sure you're ready for it? Or is the baby getting ready for bed? Do we need to quiet down?
I'm gonna take it right now. As long as you give me Jack Hermansson as an underdog, I will take him every time. He's plus 100 right now. Excuse me. I'm gonna grab him while I can. Jack Hermansson plus 100. He's a worthy dog. in any fight. You give me Jack Hermansson as a dog in a title fight, I'm going to give him a look. I love him. And hey, I've taken Chris Curtis against a 1 Phil Halls. And I took a Chris Curtis against a 1 Brendan Allen. And I took a Chris Curtis against a 1 Adolfo Vieira. And I won every single time. I won as a dog, and a favorite. Now, he is a slight favorite, and I'm going to fade Chris Curtis. And I believe in Chris Curtis. He watches the show. He's in the comments every now and again. Chris, I love you. I believe in you. I hope that you don't get hurt in this fight. I believe Jack Hermansson has something to prove here. And I think that Chris Curtis is going to be faced with, first of all, let's be real. The Sean Strickland fight, I thought Sean won the fight, but it was very close. And Sean is a good opponent, but to me, Jack's coming in there with something to prove. And he's going to be able to dominate the grappling. He's going to be able to mix it up with the volume and the pace. And he's going to be able to essentially win a decision against Chris Curtis here. Give me Jack Hermansson, 3-round decision.
Dan, I just want to clear something up. The only reason Luke is taking Curtis Blaydes is because Curtis Blaydes is on CK & Co., Lukey CK & Co., and I actually have Tom Aspinall. So this is a direct matchup here. That is the only reason.
What's the scoreboard look like right now, folks? He's referring to, while he pulls that up, he's referring to at the beginning of the year. If you go back to January of this channel's video publishing history, you'll see that at the beginning of the year we drafted fantasy teams. We had our own scoring criteria we made up, and we break it all down in that video. You can watch that video. You can see who we drafted. And yeah, at this point, I picked Curtis Blaydes. I have him, and the reason is because the criteria, as you go back and watch that episode, you'll see it has something to do with the rankings, and knowing that Chris Curtis is at the top of the rankings, going to be a consistent main eventer, going to be consistently getting good top 10, top 5 opponents. I picked Curtis Blaydes, and I'm in last place, but if I'm going head-to-head with Alex, it could be a good opportunity for a flip. We see how quick things change. I was in first place as far as the statistical rankings that you see next to our names go. I was in first place last week, and now all of a sudden I'm tied with Dan, who was in last place last week, and Alex is in first place. So,
well, I was in first place for the first 7 or 8 weeks of the. I think you just recently got into first place, so don't act like it's a big surprise that I'm back. I've been the most winningest bettor on the show. All of my picks have hit except for the last 3 in the last 9 weeks. So
actually, yeah, you're right. I overtook you last week, and then I lost this week. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, that I'm back in first place. I'm just surprised it's so low. I thought it'd be 100% at this point.
Listen, you never want to regress to the mean. So.
Well, you have, and now you're a little doggy as well. I think you're Lukey the little doggy CK.
I'm doing just fine.
Alex, you're a sinking stock.
Alex, bro, I had a fucking 4 out of 12 event. That's 25%, and my record is still 66% through the year with over 100 picks given. That shows how good of a fucking year I'm having. Plus,
but I've also had a 5 out of 12.
33%.
I've also had a 5 out of 12 event. So all right,
and our records, and you're only a little bit inching up me, so we are pretty much the same right now. And the reality is,
we're not.
Hey,
pretty much means we're not the same. I'm the
80%,
best. Don't diminish my title as the greatest gambler on this show. The greatest gambler in the world.
You're not.
You're not. You know who is? You know who is?
Me.
The machine. No, it's the machine.
Who's that?
He's been watching too much Andrew Tate. He's talking about the Matrix. He's going crazy over there.
When we sync up, we are the best. 80% Triple B certified picks, 40 out of 50 Triple B certified picks. The picks that we all agree on are the picks.
It was you holding us back from a lot of triple Ps last week. That's why Dan and I did so well and you did so poor. For the record.
But yeah, it's true.
All right, Alex, what's your pick for Jack Hermansson and Chris Curtis here? Be careful with what you say. We know Chris watches.
No,
I don't have to be careful at all because I'm taking Chris Curtis, baby. And guys, I'm going back to basics. I took notes for this whole card. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready to rumble. Let's see what I wrote about Chris Curtis, right? I'm putting a big play on Chris Curtis. The camp solved Jack Hermansson once with Sean Strickland. They trained together. I think Chris Curtis has more power and maybe even a little better wrestling than Sean Strickland. Better hands, better power than Jack Hermansson. We've seen Jack Hermansson get clipped before. The only real time he has had a fight where he has initiated the striking is when he had a very, very, very clear-cut case to get to the ground. We just saw Chris Curtis deal with Rodolfo Vieira, who I think in a grappling match between Rodolfo Vieira and Jack Hermansson, Rodolfo Vieira comes out on top. I know you have to mix everything up. Chris Curtis is going to go out there and get it done. I know he's last-minute replacement here for one Darren Till, correct? Wasn't this slated for Darren?
Yes, you're correct. Yep.
Okay.
So Alex, let me just say, voice from God here. You're telling me that Jack Hermansson was preparing for a 5-round main event fight against Darren Till.
Not 5 rounds.
It wasn't going to ever be 5 rounds. Jack Hermansson was going to be on the co-main event against Darren Till.
Can you take a second, actually, and just say how soft Darren Till is and how literally, like, Darren Till is soft as baby shit and is a pullout merchant, loses fights all the time, is, like, essentially a Dana White pony boy. Dana White was like, I thought you'd be the next Michael Bisping. You clearly aren't. You lost to Tyron Woodley. You lost to Jake Paul.
Michael Bisping lost a lot in his career, so like Darren Till could be on the same trajectory.
Michael Bisping didn't actually lose that much. Michael Bisping won the Ultimate Fighter. Michael Bisping beat Anderson Silva. Michael Bisping had a war with Chael Sonnen. Michael Bisping is actually a fucking really good fighter. And
Neil Magny matters.
That he does.
Neil Magny would fucking destroy Darren Till at middleweight. Like, that's the reality. And the thing is,
and Bisping too.
Name me a fight Darren Till could win, because I was looking at this one like, yeah, Jack Hermansson beats the piss out of Darren Till, and that's how you know Darren Till's a pullout merchant, because clearly his boy Hamzat called him and was like, Darren, brother, I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. I train with Jack. I train with you. I know Jack beats you, brother. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
I bought Hamzat's NFC. I like Darren Till. I like him enough, but I will say this. I'm so irritated by him, and I'm so sick of him coming on these interviews and being like, lad, I'm so frustrated, lad. He, like, dude, he literally, like,
dude, I don't know. Michael Bisping doesn't have that.
Save it for the Patreon. Save it for the Patreon, but that being said,
Michael Bisping doesn't have that good of a record. I think that he had a very soft lineup, just like Darren Till has, and Darren Till will rise to the occasion. Michael Bisping lost to like Tim Kennedy, Vitor Belfort.
Wait. Tim Kennedy's an absolute savage.
Absolutely.
Belfort, absolute savage. Dan Henderson, absolute savage. Chael Sonnen, absolute savage. Who has Bisping lost to that sucks? Nobody. The worst fighter Bisping lost
Wanderlei
to
Silva. Wanderlei Silva is the worst one he lost to. Because it was past his prime. It's just like, yeah, the best name he's ever beaten is Anderson Silva, but it was Anderson Silva way past his prime. Wanderlei,
the best name he's ever beaten is Luke Rockhold for the fucking world title, and then he avenged that and defended the title against Dan Henderson after Dan Henderson beat Hector Lombard by knockout, by the way. It's like people go, oh, Dan Henderson got that title shot off nothing. It's like, no, he knocked out Hector Lombard. Like, that did happen. Before that, he fought Bisping for the title. Like, he did get a win against a top fucking 10 opponent. They're about to give Conor McGregor a title shot. He hasn't won a fight in a decade, and we're out here talking about Conor McGregor getting a title fight. John Jones is gonna walk into a title fight.
Gotta show the poster.
It's not a poster.
I'll settle this debate. Michael Bisping's the man.
I love Michael Bisping, but I'm just saying, I think he has the same trajectory as Darren Till, where Darren Till has lost to some people he probably shouldn't have lost to.
Dude, Darren Till's a storyteller, dude. You are just one of his fucking, like, you're one of his girls right now, dude. Like, you're out here, like, buying into his lies. Like, I'm telling you, dude, he is a storyteller. He's telling you stories. And the stories he's telling you is like, I'm gonna be a champion one day.
I don't think he'll be a champion one day, but I'm just saying he's following like
Tyron Woodley literally beat him on the feet and on the ground. Darren Till went to Brazil for like all this time to the point where he knows how to speak Portuguese, yet he couldn't defend a Tyron Woodley Darshuk. Tyron Woodley never went to Brazil, stayed in America.
Division One wrestler.
Right. That's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. My
Dude,
first is
you've already-
he did not learn Portuguese so that he could understand Jiu-Jitsu better. He learned Portuguese so that while he was in Brazil, he could have sex with Brazilian women. Okay? That's why he did. And
Luke.
No, Darren Till, Brian Ortega, these guys are hunks. These guys are alpha male hunks. They don't train enough. They just get their fuck on all the time. And Brian Ortega even said this. He's like, yeah, after I lost to Max Holloway, I was like, oh man, I don't really like train that hard. And like I eat like In-N-Out burger and like I fucking go to the beach and like surf and like I just like kind of don't really train that hard. Like, man, maybe I should like train harder. It's like, yeah. Same with Darren Till. He goes and hangs out with Hamzat. He's like, wow, like Hamzat trains like really hard. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that Jack Hermansson's going to get the rub from training with Hamzat as far as this fight?
Dude, Jack Hermansson and Hamzat have trained together at All Stars Training Center for way longer than Darren Till trained with Hamzat. You know what I mean? Like, they've been training with each other for a very long time.
Yeah, listen.
If you're asking me if he's going to get the rub, no, he's not going to get the rub because if you watch their charity wrestling match they did, Hamzat throws him around like he's a fucking ragdoll. So I don't really think that he's getting any sort of rub. I think that, but that being said, I'm just saying like also I respect All Stars Training Center. Alexander Gustafsson, we'll get to him later in the card.
Oh. Not betting that side of it. A little preview on that pick.
A little preview for everybody else. Dan also didn't want to bet Krylov against Paul Craig. What happened there? He got his fucking shit snapped off.
Did he in that fight? I don't remember.
He got submitted by Paul Craig, like I told you he would.
Okay, you're like jumping around to like 19 different fights. I'm trying to like compartmentalize everything we're talking about. For this fight, I will agree with you, Luke. I'll go with Jack Hermansson. It's a pick 'em price, -110 apiece. It's really the hated fight of the night, though. To be honest, there's just based on the fact there's so many other really pretty common sense fights, in my opinion, on this card that we can get to well before we have a toss-em -110 fight with Jack Hermansson and Chris Curtis here. I don't know, man. I've been going back and forth. I'll just go with the volume of Jack Hermansson, probably by decision. I'm not really seeing a knockout here with Chris Curtis's defensive boxing always coming into play with the Philly shell. Love that shit. Looking good all the time. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a pitter-patter, glorified sparring match where Jack Hermansson will probably edge him out on the volume, and we'll move on from there.
Way too quick of a turnaround. Way too quick of a turnaround for Chris Curtis. And also, we're talking about a fight that is overseas. You know, it's going to be a much harder travel, weight cut, everything. It's just, you know, we're going to see a slow, deflated, flat-footed Chris Curtis who's going to get his 9th loss before Jack gets his 8th loss, which is how many losses Chris Curtis currently has. Paddy Pimblett taking on Jordan Leavitt. I can't wait to break down this fight. So fun to break down. Because when I first heard about it, I was like, Jordan Leavitt's not the best matchup for a one Paddy Pimblett. But I'm really excited for this fight. You know, what do you guys think?
Fucking belted that, you know, Paul. That was Scouse as fuck. That performance, right?
Alex, go ahead.
I'm nervous on this one, fellas. I have Paddy Pimblett on my fantasy team, Euro under Kangs, and I'm very nervous. I think that Jordan Leavitt has the edge in a lot of places, and as Luke said, this is not a good matchup for Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett has been caught before on the feet. But I will tell you, I did think that the Monkey King was a little longer than Paddy the Batty. I thought he'd be longer. I thought he'd be taller. Paddy's coming in the bigger fella here. I still think Jordan Leavitt might be a bit stronger than him. Like, I think Jordan Leavitt is a brick shithouse. We saw that takedown against, what was it, Eric Weinman, where he just smashed his head. Matt Weinman, where he just smashed his head through the canvas.
Matt Weinman pulled guard, and he just basically Matt Weinman he rose Namajunas himself into that situation. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but I think that Jordan Leavitt has better wrestling. But I think the X factor here is, we're in London, baby. Paddy's there every day. Jordan Levitt's flying overseas. He might get a little.
They're gonna poison Jordan Levitt.
Dude, they're giving him some of that Alto juice, right?
Dave Portnoy is gonna poison.
I mean, he paid Paddy Pimblett enough that it would make sense, and he has a boatload of money on the fight. So, yeah, I got to roll with Paddy here for sure. I have to roll with Paddy. He's on my fantasy team. I think Jordan might be the better fighter. I think that Jordan might be the stronger fighter. I just think there's something about this kid. There's something about him. Paddy Pimblett's going to get it done, especially on his home turf.
I gotta completely disagree. I'm rolling with Paddy, but I don't see it as all that close. Like you said, I think.
Look at him. Absolute disgrace. Why would I want to be from Liverpool? It's a shithole.
Liverpool's a shithole, is it, Dan?
I didn't say that. I'm picking the guy. I'm going against what Alex said, completely demeaning Paddy the Baddy.
You're going against what Alex said, so you're not picking him?
No. I'm going against what Alex said based on him pumping up Jordan Levitt. He was saying this could be a close matchup. I don't think it's a close matchup. I think Paddy destroys him. I think he's a way better striker. He's the bigger guy, stronger guy. What's that?
Curveball.
Nah, you got to learn how to listen, brother.
You got to listen, bro.
Brother. You need to listen.
You're all sauced up over there. Can't listen.
I only have a certain amount of these little memes I can throw in every once in a while. And I thought maybe I could insert one here. Like, I'm trying my best. All right, I'm sorry. I'm not trying.
You got a little jump there.
More memes. I'll download more memes. That's a promise from me.
I've been sending you a lot. And they're not memes.
I'll give you access. You can just upload them yourself. So I don't have iMovie.
Perfect.
I don't have iMovie anymore. I had to get my whole MacBook wiped clean. That's a story for another time. No Hunter Biden. Let's roll.
No, you had to get your whole MacBook wiped completely clean because you dumped a whole cup of rum on it when you were in Costa Rica.
No, this is a separate instance.
Okay, then I won't ask any more questions.
I already said no Hunter Biden. That's all you need to know. It's nothing. It's all on the up and up. But listen, it's all on the up and up.
It is what it is, and I can't change the past. Yes, I've made mistakes. All I can do now is apologize. Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
Okay.
Give your pick, dude. Give your pick.
Oh, my pick.
Yeah.
Paddy the Baddy goes out there and stiffens Jordan Levitt up. He knocks him the fuck out. No submission. You don't piss a Scouser off like that. You don't tell a Scouser going to twerk on him. Paddy the Baddy is going, oh, you going to twerk on me, lad? You going to twerk on me, lad? Yeah, he's gonna stiffen him up big time. Jordan Levitt is his day will come. His day will come. It's coming here. It's coming now. He's getting knocked the fuck out. Paddy the Baddy by knockout.
Dudes from England don't even eat box, let alone let another man twerk on them. You know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. He insulted his manhood. He really,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to go over well. He's going to really, Jordan Levitt is going to feel it. You know what I mean? And it's going to be bad. And he's going to wake up and he's going to be able to play the piano a little bit better. He's going to wake up and he's going to be doing math equations because Paddy's going to send him into the shadow fucking realm. All right? Mark my words. That being said, you give me Alexander Gustafsson at plus 160, I go all day and all night. But I felt like I kind of got out of that Paul Craig matchup with Krylov, even though I was talking shit to Dan earlier. I feel like I kind of got out of that one by the skin of my teeth. He was smashing Paul Craig with some hits. If you go back and watch that episode where we broke down that fight, I said in that episode, Krylov is going to come out there and he's going to fucking smash Craig with some crazy hits, and then he's going to get submitted. Exactly what happened. This one, I think those same hits, I think they put Alexander away. I hate to say it. He's 35. His last fight was at 240. You're telling me that he fought last at 240. Okay. He's walking around at 240. Now he's going to cut 35 pounds, and he's going to fight a guy 5 years younger than him who just proved that, like, yeah, jiu-jitsu is kind of my Achilles heel, but I have smashing power. He's got smashing power. He smashed Paul Craig before he got submitted. Gustafsson can't do that. Gustafsson's going to get subbed, or not subbed, smashed. Absolutely smashed. TKO, first round. Krylov. My first pick was Gustafsson. I'll have a parlay with Gustafsson in it for sure, but it's Krylov. That's my pick. I'm switching.
Yeah, I think that's the right play here. I'm going to go with Krylov as well. Gustafsson just looks like a very deflated version of a past version of himself. Not quite sure what he's still doing, fighting in the octagon. Maybe he needs a check. Maybe he's just doing it for the love of the game. But at this point in time, I think he's well past his prime. 3-fight losing skid. And it's not even the fact that he's losing, because you look at the competition, he's fighting John Jones and some other good competition. He's just not looking good in there, right? He tried moving up to heavyweight and fighting for Doom. You know, like, what are these decisions? These are not good decisions of someone who's actually capable of doing some real damage in the octagon, especially like a guy, Nikita Krylov, coming in there, a consummate professional. You know, maybe he won't win every fight, but he knows what he's doing there. Like, he's still a professional in the game. So with that being said, I'm going to take the guy who's 5 years younger, and I'm going to ride with Krylov here. Where are you going with this, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as cut and dry as you guys are saying. I think they both have like very similar strength of schedule where like Krylov, yeah, he's lost to Paul Craig, but who doesn't, you know? Paul Craig, if he can be, he's a guy where you can say Paul Craig only needs to win 1 second of a fight. That's all it takes. If Paul Craig's it gets you in that armbar, there's no going back from there. But he's lost to Paul Craig, Magomed Ankalaev, Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz. All guys, in Jan and Glover that one Alexander Gustafsson has beaten in the past, which makes you think. But I just think that Nikita Krylov is the younger man. He's been way more active. I think the last time Alexander Gustafsson got a win was 2020, if I'm not mistaken. The last time he's even fought was 2020. The last time he got a win was 2017. So he is far removed from the Alexander Gustafsson that was taking John Jones 5 rounds and giving him the hardest fight of his life. So I'm going to go with Nikita Krylov here. He's the younger man with more fights, although he's not as battle tested in terms of he doesn't have fights with like John Jones or some of the other, I don't want to say old timers, but guys of our time that we have loved to watch. Nikita has like 2 losses to 2 former champions and the most recent 2 champions besides Yuri Prohashka. So I'm rolling with Nikita Krylov here. Make it Triple P certified. So second Triple P certification after Paddy Pimblett, Nikita Krylov. What do we got next, Dan?
Oh, we got a dynamite matchup from my perspective here. We got Molly Meatball McCann. There we go, versus Hannah Goldie. Boys, I don't know about you, but I'm taking a serious look here at Hannah Goldie at plus 310. This is a card that's parlay city, and the fact that there's really not that many underdog opportunities in my estimation. I'm seeing a big one here with Hannah Goldie. Pretty much the same size as Meatball Molly. She's not going to be able to bully her around in there like she typically likes to do when she wins. Hannah Goldie has a dynamite right hand, throws with a ton of volume, super tough, super strong, very athletic, same age. And if I'm going to get plus 310 odds, I think this is screaming Hannah Goldie. Everyone's all jazzed up about Molly McCann's last performance when she fought in England, had the crowd going, had that big knockout against Dreadhead, Luana Carolina. This is not Luana Carolina. You're not going to knock out Hannah Goldie. She's going to be in your face all day. Give me Hannah Goldie at plus 310.
Luke Mang?
Did I sway anybody?
No, I mean, I do. Listen, I say this every week. Don't bet on lady fights. Your heroes will, like Valentina Shevchenko, right? Like a woman I thought was probably like brick and mortar, rock solid, locked and loaded, bare bones. Every description you want to give her. I mean, she's true blue. She's, you know what I mean? She's cojones, you know what I mean? Iron on iron, ironclad. Like Valentina Shevchenko is an international woman of mystery. She's gun wielding, gun toting. And what did she do against Talia Santos, a relative no name, coming in there? Essentially loses, and just because of her brand gets the win. I mean, it's like, and not only loses, but looks kind of small, and you kind of go, wait, maybe what we've seen isn't what we're going to see, you know? And you see a girl like Molly Meatball, and it's like, yeah, Molly, she's a meatball, you know, I love meatballs. So, I'm a big Jersey Shore guy. And, you know, it's like, I'm with you, Dan. I like Hannah Goldie, you know what I mean? But I just feel like Molly's going to be like Kobe beef in there, you know what I mean? Like, she's going to have every kind of luxury afforded for her, all the confidence. She's got Patty, she's got Tom. Whereas Hannah, you know what I mean? You're talking about a flight, you're talking about a woman who was waiting tables and working at a fucking fitness tanning salon, gym shit, and then ends up doing OnlyFans, and then like,
dude, you got to check your download speed now. You were having it the other night when you had a great performance, but right now I can't even hear a single word you're saying. Is it my connection?
I hear everything he's saying, Alex.
Is it my connection?
Your connection's fine too. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're seeing.
Sorry, boys.
No, you're good.
Listen, either way, you know I have the utmost respect for Hannah Goldie. I was like, man, any woman who is willing to work 3 jobs, and then only when the government tells her she's not allowed to work those jobs anymore because they're wanting to be tyrannical communist dictators, they end up forcing her into save her for the Patreon. But you know, they force her into a position where she's got to do OnlyFans, and she still is willing to do that, and is willing to fight in a cage or whatever it is. Did she do OnlyFans? Am I wrong about that? I'm drunk, guys, by the way.
No, she did OnlyFans. She might even currently be doing OnlyFans. I don't know.
Hannah Goldie, I would literally pay you $25 for a picture of your feet, if you know what I mean, like whatever. I'm not saying I'm above that. I'm not saying like I'm better than you or anything like that. What I'm trying to paint the picture for the audience is like Molly McCann signed on a deal with Barstool Sports. Hannah Goldie having to do OnlyFans because her job at a gym and her job as a waitress got taken away by the government over the last 2 years. I'm not saying she's not killing it with OnlyFans. She might be. That might have let her train harder, but I'm saying like, if I look at like who's getting the more funding, I'm looking at Molly McCann, Barstool Sports. That's a big machine behind her. Like, I really think they probably want her to win. She's in her hometown, so their girl's got to fly over. Like, it's just, we're getting a 40% Hannah Goldie here. We're getting an 80% Molly McCann at worst. But still, in women's MMA, the big favorite could lose, even with all of those advantages afforded to her. So I'm agreeing with Dan. I think the value's on Goldie. My pick's McCann. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Hannah Goldie has all the tools to beat someone like Molly McCann, but I just don't think she has the IQ to get it done. We've seen her. What?
You say she's got low IQ?
Ring IQ. A lot of
to the wrestling. When it comes to them getting in the wrestling ring, there's nothing up there. They're all oatmeal north of the eyebrows. They're all, Tina for brains. You know what I mean?
Cannot compete with men at chess.
God, man, woman, dog.
All right, enough subliminal messaging. We need to get it done here. I think Molly McCann could lose this fight if Hannah Goldie does what Hannah Goldie should do, but I don't think Hannah Goldie's going to do it because I've seen her do it in multiple fights where I'm like, Hannah, take her down. Take her down. All you need is one takedown and you win this fight. I don't think she has it in her. The only UFC win she has is Emily Spitfire Whitmire, who we are all very low on. Hannah Goldie was slated in there against Jinyu Frey, but even that, that's a tough matchup for Hannah Goldie. I don't have the most respect for Hannah Goldie. As one of the great boxers once said, it's hard to wait.
Don't worry about what I'm saying. Just do what I tell you. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
As one of the great boxers once said, it's hard to wake up and run in the morning when you're taking pictures of your feet for money. So, Hannah Goldie, all due respect, I just think Molly McCann's going to come out there. She's going to be the grimier woman. She's going to get it done by hook or by crook. I think Hannah Goldie could take her down and just ride her for 3 rounds and win, but she won't.
I think Hannah Goldie could be a better fighter than Molly McCann if devoted. And I think Molly McCann could actually make more money on OnlyFans if devoted. I think that listen. You're underestimating. I think I'm saying OnlyFans, if Molly McCann was willing to get weird, and if Hannah Goldie was willing to get grimy, like you're saying, they could actually lap each other in the opposite yin and yang.
How weird do you need Molly McCann to get to make more money than Hannah?
Listen, that is a conversation that I will have with her when she signs the non-disclosure agreement. But until then, I'm not revealing my business plans because, there's plenty of women who will probably watch this show. They could take it and run with it, and they need to sign the NDA and they need to get me involved for a piece of that.
Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
That being said, guys, I'm just trying to be as successful as Hunter Biden. You know what I mean? By the way, my internet speed is 146 Mbps download and 10 Mbps upload.
I could play Fall Guys while we're doing this podcast and wouldn't affect a thing right now. It's pretty great.
Actually, now I'm plugging at about 240 megabytes per second. Yeah, 247 megabytes per second download speed.
All right, nerds, let's talk about the fights. We got Paul Craig versus Volkan Ozdemir. Nobody wants to care about your
I told you, I said you have to take the reins. You did the best last weekend. You're supposed to be the host.
No, I was supposed to take the reins for our guest, which is not here. So now the whole thing is moot now. I don't have to take the reins.
So the guest you set up bailed.
So the guest
bailed on us.
You set up bailed on the podcast.
Which happened to all of us. We've all had guests bail on us. It's no big deal. Anyway,
when it happens to me, I take it very personally, and I lose sleep that night. So
he's coming on the show. Don't you worry about it. All right.
When it's art, what did he think we were doing? Mountain time?
No, he knows it's Eastern time. Listen, he's coming on the show. All right.
I'm fighting for my life.
We got Paul Craig versus Volkan No Time Ozdemir. Myself personally, I hate having to actually put money on a guy that is basing his wins off of jiu-jitsu at this point in 2022 in mixed martial arts. It's a tough thing to rely on the submission, but I think I'm going to have to do it in this circumstance. Volkan Ozdemir, I mean, how good is his takedown defense? How good is his submission defense in reality? Can he withstand that for 3 total rounds? I don't think so. I haven't seen too much grappling in his career, except when he got ragdolled by Daniel Cormier. But that's just straight up wrestling. I just feel like if Paul Craig can tap out Jamal Hill, if he can tap out Magomed Ankalaev, right, some of these really high level guys who are leagues above Volkan Ozdemir, to be honest, he could probably get Ozdemir out of here. And if I got him at plus 130, it's even juicier, cherry on top there. So give me Paul Craig at plus 130, starting off our main card.
Yeah, if you're looking for underdogs with a chance, you got to look at Paul Craig. I mean, this is a guy who will absolutely, given 1 second left in the fight, quite literally against some of the best people on the planet, will find a way to win. And that is exactly what's happened. I mean, if you look at his fight against, like we said, the last opponent of his opponent, Volkan Ozdemir's last opponent, Magomed Ankalaev, who beat him by decision, giving him his, 6th loss. Well, if you look at Magomed Ankalaev, he's 15-1. That one loss is Paul Craig. Paul Craig took his O. Paul Craig tapped him out, made him tap, made him give him his O, and won the fight. Guys, it's going to sound unbelievable, but with 1 second left in the fight, from his back, by submission. And we say all the time on this podcast, go out. Like, who in this world, in this world we live in, who doesn't want to die let alone get high. And when you get choked out, you don't have to die because there's a ref there and there's a ambulance staff there, so you won't die. But what will happen is you will get high, because when you choke yourself out, as we know, we all saw the 60-minute report, and we all saw that, our parents all pulled us aside in high school and said, hey, we hear this thing, if your friends want to choke you with a belt to get high, don't do it. At least I had good parents. My parents did tell me not to autoerotic asphyxiate myself. They did tell me not to play the
I think that's bad parenting, because then they just told me, hey, if your friend chokes you out, you can get high.
Yeah.
I didn't know until they told me.
I also hadn't seen 60 Minutes at that point, so I didn't know that was possible. It took me many years to be able to responsibly choke myself. That being said, we're moving on. The point is, don't tap. If he had just gone out, we could have been living in sort of like a Matt Hughes, Carlos Newton kind of era, where it's like, did the round end or did he go out? Which would happen? His O might be preserved. But to voluntarily let your O go when you're not going to die. I mean, it's like Paul Craig as an underdog, but I agree with Dan. If Paul Craig decides to do what Sean Strickland decided to do against Alex Pereira, he loses this fight. He gets his ass knocked out. He almost got knocked out against Krylov because he wanted to let Krylov dap him up a billion times while he was on his back. If he lets old Ozdemir do that, he could get his ass knocked out. But he's got a Scottish jaw, laddie, and he's going to fucking take all that shit and win.
Okay, so I'm going with Paul Craig here for sure. Although Volkan Ozdemir, I'm actually a pretty big fan of his. He has had some amazing knockouts, especially MMA Math. I believe didn't Paul Craig lose to Misha Serkinov, or was that the other guy that fought tonight? No, he actually didn't. So MMA Math doesn't count for shit. Thanks for helping me, guys. So I'm going with Paul Craig here. I just think you give either of these guys 1 second, they can win the fight. Volkan Ozdemir is not the Volkan Ozdemir of the past, although like Alexander Rakic is pretty good, but I don't know. Paul Craig can beat anybody on any day of the week, and I'm not going to get it wrong this time. And next up, we have the prelims. So you can't get anything for free no more. Sorry.
Yeah, let's hit him with a little freestyle Chinese rap. Delivery free, but not from me. It always costs $1.50. Patreon. That's from
Wanna see me?
Listen,
save it for the fucking Patreon.
Join the Patreon. We'll definitely save it for the Patreon. But nothing is for free in this world. And if you're gambling, you have money. If you don't have money, then you shouldn't be gambling. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you see. But we only do positive things with the Patreon money. We've donated it to the Ukrainians, or at least the refugees, the little innocent boys. We don't really give a fuck about politics or the Ukraine versus Russian conflict. But, we did manage to help out some Ukrainian children, about 80 of them. We got them at least a couple pairs of boxing gloves so they could beat the shit out of each other on our dime. But that being said, join the Patreon. We recently sponsored Joe Selecki's grappling event. Joe Selecki's trying to get his charity scam off the ground. He's trying to do what Dustin Poirier's doing. He's trying to do what all of the greats do, which is have a tax funnel. Have something where you can put money aside and not have to let the government get their greedy little paws on it. We are absolute libertarians when it comes to taxes, and we say taxation is theft.
That's fucking illegal.
Make sure that you are doing your part in supporting Joe Selecki's charity so that he does not have to pay as much of his hard-earned blood money, guys. This is a Jersey boy. He's bleeding out there, and the government wants to take that, and that's fucking bullshit. He's got a daughter. He's got a whole family. So make sure that you go watch All In Grappling. Go watch Joe Selecki's charity grappling event where we sponsored him. We gave our hard-earned Patreon dollars to Joe Selecki, who's been so generous with his time and his blood, sweat, and tears in the effort that we can fucking stop the government from stealing all these guys' money. And at the end of the day, guys, I've had several beers. You've watched it all happen.
Yes, I've made mistakes. All I can do now is apologize and move on. I don't know what. Guys, okay. Can I just?
Yes, please.
All I can say.
Intoxicated.
We're gonna go to the Patreon. Listen, we just told you that if you're blindly tailing our Triple B certified picks, which you can only get 100% of them if you're in the Patreon, because you don't know if our prelims picks contain some Triple B certified picks that can be a part of the parlay that can win you money. Either way, 9 events in year 3. Of those 9 events, if you bet a $10 bet on all the Triple B certified picks blindly over the course of the 9 events as parlays, guys, you would have cashed 2 4 out of 4 parlays. You would be up double your money, and we will be having a good time in the Patreon. You heard that. You hear what Alex is doing. You hear what Dan is doing. You hear what I am doing. You hear what my girlfriend is doing. That's what that noise is. We're all having fun. And let's get into the Patreon. Join the Patreon. It's the only way to support the podcast. People say, oh, other channels don't charge for their prelim picks. Listen, shut the fuck up. Everybody has a mechanism. Everybody fucking has a t-shirt shop or they have a donation. We're not asking for donations. We're just saying, if you like the show, here's the main card picks for free. We do all the interviews for free. We get Joe Selecki on here for free. In theory, we're about to have another UFC prospect in here for free. We do our best.
But that might go. We might only schedule them for the Patreon.
You get into this Patreon now, you're grandfathered in. So just join the Patreon. Get in there. Help us out. Here's the breakdown. Doesn't make any sense. And if you say, well, Luke, I really love the prelim picks. I love your podcast. That's bullshit because only 25% of people actually watch prelims picks, okay? So join the Patreon. It's not even that much money. Honestly, like, we're not even making any money. Fucking join
900 subscribers. Can't be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, let's go, guys. We're about to close on 1,000 true fans, and we can quit our day jobs, and we can really let loose, and we can really fucking get out here and fucking punch people in the face for you on your behalf. So let us know what you want. That being said, entertainment purposes only. We love you. We'll see you in the Patreon.